Here, Jamal Adams, Arian Drake. What is up? Tweet this out. Simply Deep, what is up? Right there, bro. What's going on with you? How you doing? Get a tweet real quick. Lay, what is up? What's going on? So before I get started, I got to give out a couple of shouts. First shout I got to give out is to Next Gen Interaction. What's up, Link? Will you stop calling yourself Lincoln Daddy in the future? Well, you only use that term with Titanfall Princess. So if she decides she can't stand my black ass no more than me, I won't call myself Lincoln Daddy no more. Skip Bayless, what is up? Crab Gamer said Microsoft is buying 9 million studios. Well, as much nonprofit work as he put in, he shouldn't have a problem getting a job at one of them. But I got to give a shout out to Next Gen Interactions for sending me Fata Mephisto. What is up? I got to send a shout out to Next Gen Interactions for sending me the review code to VR Apocalypse. I played a little bit of the tutorial, but I didn't stream it because it was so late that I wouldn't, I only messed around with it for about 20 minutes. So I'll put some real time into it this weekend and do a stream this weekend. Also, I have to give a shout out to Grumpy Aging Gamer. He sent me like a Google Documents for like a game key request where I filled it out and then it goes out to developers where I'm requesting review codes. So I filled that out. There's no guarantee that I'll get review codes, but he still gave me the sheet to fill out. So shout out to Grumpy Aging Gamer. I really appreciate that. And it's because of him that I got, hit the ground running, contacting developers about review codes. I've contacted about 3 or 4 developers so far. And I'm going to continue to contact developers. So, so I still definitely want to, review some VR games. And also, before I go any further, I just want to let everybody know that I've been really, really tired the last couple of days. I have been doing a lot of sleeping. So if you're someone that's been trying to contact me and I didn't respond, it was nothing against you. I've been extremely tired. And I just got home like 15 minutes ago from work. And I made it a point to have this podcast right now, because if I don't do it, I'm going to end up taking a nap and it won't happen. Today's gym day. I'm going to the gym and, still following through with that schedule, going to the gym, get out of the gym, come home and do a Beat Saber stream or a Creed stream to finish the night off for my cardio. But, I've been on YouTube for about a year now. And, as far as being a content creator, and a lot has happened over the past year. And some things have happened on YouTube where I have steered clear of it and didn't want any part of it and kept my opinions to myself. I've remained neutral on some things. And but just because I remain neutral on the subject doesn't mean that I don't have an opinion of it. There's a lot of things that I have an opinion on, but some of the things that I have opinion on, there's no place for it on this channel. What's up, Diver? This is a gaming channel, and that's the way I plan to keep it. I don't want to bring any social or political issues and shit like that into this channel, because gaming is my escape. It is my passion. And as far as this channel goes, the only time my opinions and my emotions really come out is when I'm talking about people like Microsoft, EA, Activision, Bethesda. You guys know how I feel about those people. And that's not going to change anytime soon. Jemiah Dixon, what's up? And they haven't given me any reason to change my opinion of them. But I can keep my opinion of those entities on this channel because it is gaming related. Diver, I'm waiting for you to get that VR so I can whoop your ass at Creed. Not only that, they're going to update the Rocky Legends, and it looks like they're going to add Apollo Creed to it. So you need to hurry up, get that VR so I can beat your ass. But there is a lot of things that I've got opinions on, and now I think the time has come for me to widen the scope for me to express those opinions. And therefore, I'm going to be starting another YouTube channel. I told Thrash about this yesterday. He's the only person that I told about this. You know, he, to this very day, I'm still grateful that, you know, that he gave me the push to start a YouTube channel. You know, especially in the area that I really like. But yeah, like I said, I think it's time for me to widen the scope, broaden my horizons, and tackle some other issues. So, like I said, I'm going to be starting another channel. I don't plan on giving out any information about this channel because the things that I say in this channel could be polar opposite of this channel. I think on this channel, for the most part, I am professional and I am neutral on a lot of things. This channel that I plan on starting, I will not be neutral and I will not be professional. I'm going to be saying a lot of things that's probably going to be rubbing people the wrong way. You know, there's going to be a lot of, you know, this very well could be a lot of people mad at me for some of the things that I might end up saying on this other channel. But it's going to be very opinionated. You know, it's probably going to have a little bit of a Tommy Sotomayor flavor to it, a little bit of the Angry Man. I discovered him this week, and I really like his content. He tackles a lot of social and cultural issues that rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but he speaks the truth. And that has inspired me to want to start another channel. So, well, if I rub you the wrong way, Diver, there's a simple solution. Take some sandpaper and wipe your ass with it. Carlos Fernandez, what's up? But I'm not going anywhere as far as this channel goes. The Live from Wakanda podcast, I'll still be doing that on Sundays. I really like doing that. I really like putting together all the news from the past week and just, you know, tackle it all in one podcast. On the days that I work out, I'll still be doing the Beat Saber type streams, the Creed streams, because those streams pretty much cap my night off with, you know, me getting my cardio in. That's still a very fun way for me to get my cardio in and interact with all of you at the same time. I think because I plan on putting a lot of time into this new channel. I think the areas that are going to be affected are the random game streams that I do just at any given moment. Jumping up and doing the firewall streams. Harry and Drake, the truth is meant to rub and piss people off. Wouldn't be the truth if it didn't do its job. Facts. It may not be that, like I said, I'm not going to reveal the name of the channel or what my new name is going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of you guys find me, because I'll probably still be using some of the same pictures, some of my same pictures on the new channel that I do here. There's a reason a lot of YouTubers don't reveal what they look like. I did, Mr. Modern. There's a lot of people that don't reveal who they are on YouTube. AB Loco, what's up? And the reason why I let people see who I am on YouTube, because there's a lot of internet gangsters out there. There's a lot of punks out there that hide behind keyboards and talk all that wild shit. Oh, fuck you, I'm gonna jump on a plane and I'm coming to your city and I'm gonna beat your ass and whoop-de-whoop and all this kind of shit. So I want them to know what I look like, so they can be entirely sure that they want to jump on a plane, fly to my city, come to my doorstep, and whoop my ass like they say they're going to. Because I want them to know who's going to answer that door if they did show up to my door. I mean, I see that shit all the time, especially, on Xbox Live and shit like that. I've seen so many people get threatened about what they gonna do to them and shit like that. Goddamn well they not gonna do nothing. So I want them people to see who I am, so they can really ask themselves deep down inside, do I really want to jump on a plane and go see that? Mr. Modern, he said, you work at a lot of hours. You got a kid. You hit the gym after work. You got this channel already. Plus, you want to have time to game. You might burn yourself out. I very well could, Mr. Modern. I don't doubt that. I sleep a lot, but I don't get a lot of sleep, if that makes sense. I sleep 2 hours here. I sleep 2 hours there. Diver, you said, I'm coming to your city. I'm going to come to your doorstep and I'm going to whoop your ass. Ain't nobody scared of you because you black. Absolutely right, Diver. I do not expect to scare anybody. I just want them to know who is going to answer the door when they show up. You say, Harry and Drake, I wouldn't reveal my face either. You will get doxxed quick on YouTube. Truth be told, I'm somewhat surprised I haven't got doxxed yet. I think a lot of that comes from, if you notice on a lot of my podcasts, I really haven't been banging on Microsoft that much. I really haven't been cutting into Microsoft that much. And I think a lot of that has to do with the games that I'm playing. I'm enjoying them so much that I forget. I'm forgetting about, people like Microsoft, and people like EA, Bethesda, and Activision. I'm not spending a terrible amount of time being consumed with them either. I'm just reporting the news as it happens, at the end of the week on Live from Wakanda. and that's that. Um, I'm not gonna be that dude that's gonna sit here and be consumed with Microsoft and what they are doing 24/7. If I got something to say about Microsoft, I'm gonna say it, and that's gonna be it. Same thing with EA, Bethesda, whatever. So you will be streaming tonight in the Roundtable channel, Vidiot. Um, I'm going to try to have everything done and out of the way. I'm going to try to go to the gym immediately after this podcast. When I get back from the gym, I'm going to try to, do my Creed stream so I can get my cardio in. I can't say whether or not I will join you on the Roundtable tonight. I don't know if you opening that up. Okay, you're gonna stream the Resident Evil remake. Okay, I'll be checking that out. Because I do check out your streams. Video. I do see your Rockstar streams, Rock Band. I watch them. It's just I don't comment that much because I just sit there and watch you play. Because I'm trying to see how good you are, that kind of stuff. So, and actually, Rockstar, Rock Band, those are two games that I did like. During the 360 era, but I didn't play them a terrible lot, but I did like them. He said, JP Local, you haven't played in 4 days because of the damn heat. Nice Queen Gaming, how you doing? You said you're having a bad day. I have flashbacks about my late husband. I'm not coping very well. I know how you feel. I mean, I have my days where I wake up and I'm still in disbelief that my grandmother's gone, because she passed away last summer. And I have my days where I celebrate her life because she lived a good life. She had a good life provided for her, and she earned it. She took care of a lot of kids, her grandkids, even took care of her great grandkids. Players United, you're gonna go eat. I'm gonna go eat, then work on Dragon Quest 11 Platinum later. All right, go get that platinum, partner. Jemiah Dixon, what's up? Xbox Video, you said it's going to be a live review, going to get the chat's input on the game and what they think. All right. So, but about this new channel that I'm going to move towards, like I said, because of the kind of content that I'm going to deliver, I already know that a lot of people are going to be mad at me. A lot of people are probably going to threaten me. I'm talking shit about what they're going to do to me. Women are going to be mad at me. Men are going to be mad at me. Black people going to be mad at me. White people going to be mad at me. Rich people going to be mad at me. Broke people going to be mad at me. Video, this channel that I'm going to be, this new channel that I'm going to be starting up is going to have a little bit of a Tommy Sotomayor flavor to it. It's going to have a little bit of, there's a YouTuber that I discovered this week called The Angry Man. It's going to have a little bit of his flavor to it. It's going to it's going to tackle some social and cultural issues. But I think the thing that's going to separate my channel from them is with me being 51 years old. I've seen how some things in society were one way 30 years ago, and it's totally different now. The dating game and all kinds of other stuff is so much different now than it was 30 years ago when there was no internet, when there was no social media. And I kind of, to use that as an example, the dating game, something like that. I might talk about how it was 30 years ago versus how it is now. It's going to be a variety of topics. But the main theme of the topic, the main theme of the channel is it's going to be comparing a lot of social and cultural issues from how they were about 30 years ago to now. Is that, video? You said, okay. Oh, I feel you. OGs have seen a lot of change in their lives. It's one thing to speak about it. It's another to live through it. Yeah. I mean, for instance, especially like growing up in the hood, coming from the school of hard knocks, when I was young, 35 years ago, when I was 15, you get in an argument with somebody, it gets settled with a fight, and that'd be the end of it. But now you got motherfuckers shooting each other. It's like you get into an argument with somebody, and God forbid if you whoop their ass, you won't be able to go nowhere without looking over your shoulder. And that's the one thing I do admit, because of my size, even with the little bit of, muscle that I lost, I'm still 5'9", 210 pounds. I'm still big enough that if I was to walk up on a dude 130 pounds, I might have to be careful what I say to him. Because if he one of these little hood motherfuckers that carry a gun with him, he already know that he ain't going to beat me in a fight, because I might knock his ass in the next week. So his solution is to shoot me. So, I mean, I know way back in my day, dudes that was my size, if a little dude got to talking greasy to him, the big motherfucker just knocked him out, and that was that. Now, no, it don't work like that. Now he got to look over his shoulder. You know what I mean? Yeah, Mr. Righteous Fish. Of course, I mean black culture. I grew up in the hood. I came from the school of hard knocks. I came from a neighborhood where, if somebody fucked with you, until you fought him back, he was gonna fuck with you every single day, and he gonna fuck with you a little bit more. I had bullies in my neighborhood and shit like that. It was like my father put me in a karate school because I was scared to face the neighborhood bully. And so I took, karate for 4 years. I studied Okinawan Shorin-ryu for 4 years, and I was on the verge of getting my black belt. So at the time that my mother took me out of karate class, I was a full brown belt, and I took a test to get my black tip, and I failed that test. But my teacher said, he would give me the test again in a couple of months. But I can tell you now that even with me being 120 pounds back then, whenever I got in a fight, if I used karate, I never got hurt. I won't say that I won every single fight, but I never got hurt. And seeing the thing, I came, when I was a kid, Bruce Lee was still a legend. His name was still a legend. So it's like, if you could fight, the first thing they say is either you Muhammad Ali or you Bruce Lee. Now, if you was one of those dudes that took karate and you get somebody walking up on you, want to test you and shit like that, and if they fight you and then one of the punches happened to slip in, they was like, oh, you supposed to be Bruce Lee. If you Bruce Lee, ain't no punches supposed to get through. Ain't no punches supposed to hit you. All that kind of shit. So, but shit, I mean, growing up, I seen some Asian dudes that would take a shot in the jaw and them motherfuckers would fight like a goddamn tornado, so hey, we all get hit. But I mean, Righteous Mr. Righteous Fish, you from the Bronx, raised in group homes, foster homes, took boxing in Yonkers, shot 3 times, twice in the Army. Holy shit. I understand where you're coming from, but I'm a little younger, 35. I feel you. I mean, that some of the fights that I was getting in, like when the drug game kind of took over in the 80s, that's when motherfuckers stopped fighting and started shooting. And so that's when I had to start doing some growing up, because some of the shit I was doing back then, I was asking to get shot. You know what I mean? Now, Diver, what you said about that, you said that's why we were told by our sensei, never brag or wear your gi out in the open. That was the big mistake that I made right there, Diver, is because we were wearing our gis home and not putting them in our duffel bag. And so we had every punk in the neighborhood wanting to test us. And, oh, so you think you Bruce Lee now, want to try to fight us and, try to see what, me and my brother was about. But I will say that once when we was whooping their asses, people stopped fucking with us. But, that was then, at 51 years old, if I'm still going out of my way to look for fights and shit like that, I'm supposed to be dead. I'm definitely, what up, Mac? I seen a lot of dudes my size when I was young abuse their abilities. Went fucking with smaller people. That kind of shit. But no, I ain't that kind of dude. But Mr. Righteous Fish, being black and 51, not in jail or dead, is good, and your knowledge should be shared. Nah, that was gonna be, opinionated. Another topic that I could talk about is interracial relationships, versus when I was young versus now, because that demographic has definitely changed. Craig Harris, do future plans include the smoke? The smoke, or in my case, the smoke, the smoke. So, but I decided to go ahead and let this cat out of the bag, because I am going to be putting a lot of work into this other channel. And Mr. Monitor was right, that I could find myself getting burnt out from doing too much shit. So there might be some days where you guys may not hear from me for a few days because I'm recovering, because I might need the rest. There's yesterday was a prime example. I got out of work at 3:30 and I took a nap with the intentions of getting back up a couple hours later. Next thing you know, it was 11 o'clock. Mr. Righteous Fish, you say, my wife is white and there's issues we have, but she is learning because we have a black daughter. I'll be there on your new channel. I appreciate it, Mr. Righteous Fish. My son is biracial. I got a son with a white woman. Matter of fact, my nieces and nephews are all biracial. Nobody is 100%. My youngest brother has 2 daughters with 2 white women. And my brother in the middle has 2 sons. one with a Mexican girl and another one with a white girl. All the kids is grown now, so it's like out of all the kids, my son is the youngest. Jamal Adams, I appreciate it. What's going on? I mean, but be warned, you're gonna hear a totally different person from what you're hearing right now. Stardust Cicero. I mean, the way this ain't gonna be a situation where, oh, dude is fake because he act this way on this channel and act this way on the other channel. The way I'm talking to you guys now is the way I talk to everybody on the street, because I talk to everybody on the street professionally. The other channel is going to be shit that's going through my mind on how I feel on some cultural and some social issues. Even like Kid Smooth, for instance. When he stirred that hornet's nest up on Twitter about what he was saying about black women and shit like that, there was some truth to what he was saying, but I could not jump up and agree with it because I didn't want to get caught up in that hornet's nest. This channel right here, I can give my full opinion on how I feel about that and expect a backlash. I don't want that here because, what Kid Smooth said, there's no place for that on this channel. And this is a gaming channel, and that's what it's going to stay. You said Arian Drake, the topic of interracial dating is hypocritical to bring up now because it's mostly one-sided. It's probably mostly one-sided in the sense that you see a lot of white women with black men. But I still see, every now and then, I'll still see a black woman with a white man. But I have nothing to say about it. I would be a hypocrite if I said something about it. Shit, as many white women as I've been with, how would I look getting mad at, Guy Code said best of luck on the new channel. Appreciate it. I'm still here. I'm still going to be here. I'm not going anywhere. Like I said, the one things that I can promise that I'll still be doing the live from Wakanda. I like the way that was received. I like, when you gather up all the news that happened that week, you have a lot more stuff to talk about instead of me doing 4 or 5 podcasts a week over little bits and pieces of news that only really take 15 minutes to talk about. Say, JP Local, interracial couples don't bother me in the least. Love is love. Some of the like, to give you an example, like on this new channel, when I talk about maybe interracial dating, for instance, I plan to take it beyond that because I've seen both sides of the fence of how, the girl I'm dating might tell me how her family's acting about her dating the black man, and I can tell how, my family reacted, and those kinds of things. And I can definitely tell you right now, about 30 years ago, if I was seen on the street with a white woman, the reaction on the street then is definitely different now. And a lot of it has to do more with my size versus, versus the change in demographic, the change in culture. Because like back then, about 30 years ago when I was still 130 pounds, you know, some black women see me with a white girl, they get mad. Some white dudes see me with a white girl, they get mad and they look at me like they wanted to kill me. Now it's a totally different story because now I'm about 90 pounds heavier than what I was 30 years ago. So now if I walk down the street with a white girl, don't nobody look at me like they want to kill me. They just go about their business, whether they like it or not. Harry and Drake, I mean, the sisters would claim to be pro-black. They hate you for doing the same thing and calling you out for being pro-black. Said Mr. Righteous Fish, this new template for this. I've dated a lot of women, albinos to Zimbabweans. There are issues with it, but much better today. Yeah. Even I mean, I've seen a lot of shit, and like even the dating game. 30 years ago, certain people would claim that they would never date this type of person or whatever. To now, those same people that was talking that shit had to eat crow because they don't have the options that they had 30 years ago because they don't look like what they did 30 years ago. So now some of them is fucking with the very people that they claim they would never fuck with. And that shit like that is what I want to talk about on this new channel. Then, the way things was then, the way things is now. Spartan got what is up? What is up? You say what's up, pops? Um, but yeah, I think I can still. Mr. Righteous Fish. Y'all have a good day. I'll be at your new channel, bro. I really appreciate it, bro. I really do. No Jamaicans allowed. You're carjacking in the general fuckery. Remember that movie Shot Us? Tell your boys to sit the fuck down before we start squeezing in this bitch. But as far as this channel goes, as I said, I can still guarantee that I'm going to do the Live from Wakanda podcast on Sunday mornings. Like I said, on the days that I go to the gym, I will still do a Creed or or Beat Saber type stream because I said it before, there's no better way to get your cardio in and have fun at the same time and interact with all of you. So I'll still be doing that. But on the other days, I can't promise that I'll be doing something. At least with this channel, I might be doing something on the other channel because, like I said, I'm going to be putting in a lot of work on this other channel. Oh no. Oh no, I just got some bad news. So yeah, just got some bad news, family bad news. It's not life threatening yet, but it could turn that way. I hope not. What's up, Arian, the Spartan God? Let me go into my picks. Let me go into my picks. Oh, I know what I can do. I'm doing good, Arian. Oh, you mean just a minute, I want to check something, folks. So it it might be time for me. It might be time for me to go ahead and make this revelation that I've kept a secret for that I've kept secret for a while now. Only a handful of people know about it. Let me see here. Mm, give me a second, folks. I'm looking. Because this revelation that I'm about to make, I'm probably going to need pictures to back it up. Okay, I got pictures then. I got some pictures to back it up. All right, folks. Yeah, still listening now. So I think the bad news that I just received is family related. Let me look at this again. Okay. Um, when I first came to YouTube, um, there was a secret that only a couple of people knew about, and Thrash knew about it. Porter Rock knew about it. And I think J Dub and Craig Harris know about it, and I think Ryan might know about it too. I'm not sure, but that's as far as it went because I asked them not to tell anybody. And that is that, I've said it a few times that I am related to a famous person, and this person is not liked by a lot of people. And because of that, for the better part of 15 years, maybe, I've had to deal with idiots. Yes, Diver, he is a boxer. So with that being said, yes, the boxer Floyd Mayweather is my first cousin. And I just got a text from one of my relatives that my uncle Roger Mayweather is not doing well. That his kidneys are going bad, and I guess he's supposed to start dialysis today. He just had a brain shunt or something like that put in his head because he lost his motor functions. He's gone blind from diabetes. He couldn't walk. He couldn't talk. Jamal Adams, you related to BB King on your grandma's side. Now I'm gonna give you I'm gonna show you guys proof that I am related to Floyd Mayweather. Just a minute. So I'm getting ready to share my screen with you guys. So a lot of you who are familiar with Floyd Mayweather is also familiar with his father, Floyd Mayweather Sr. And here is a picture of me with my uncle, Floyd Mayweather Sr. This picture was about, I don't know, I want to say this picture was probably maybe 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. Here is another picture, and this is when I was thinner. I was probably about, I was probably about 50 pounds lighter in this picture, but just a minute. Let me find this picture because I just saw it. There it is. Here is a picture of me and Floyd back in 1997 when he first turned pro. He had just got home from the Olympics. And as you can see right there, I was probably about 50 pounds lighter in that picture. And this was at my aunt's house. It was a welcome home party for Floyd. It was his birthday that weekend. And he was still Pretty Boy Floyd back then. He hadn't become Money May yet. He hadn't started up that shit where he, carrying backpacks of money and shit like that. Let me see here. Here is another picture. This picture right here. I'm the one right there with the leather coat on. And you see Floyd on the end, Floyd Sr. right next to him. And on the end is the other uncle, Jeff Mayweather, who is a boxer himself. And he fought Oscar De La Hoya before. He is also an MMA trainer. He has worked with George St. Pierre. He trained Big Country Roy Nelson, amongst others. He's also worked with Rampage and King Mo. And so has Floyd Sr. This was the same night, at a party at the welcome home party for Floyd. I've got a ton of other pictures too, but I have to. Let me see here. This picture right here is not very clear, but this is when we went out to Floyd Sr.'s house. We went out to his house in Las Vegas, and you can see Floyd Sr. right there in the middle, kneeling down. And if you see where this cursor is right there, that's me right there in the back. The big tall guy right there in the very back, that is one of Floyd's fighters. And so I have also been on TV before. Yes, let me come on back. So I've got other pictures. I've got, a family picture that I think when I was about 15 years old, our family had a family photo taken, and everybody was there except Roger, because Roger's career was just taking off. He had just become champion, and the money and the fame was starting to come, and so he wasn't coming home as much. So, Impatient Fire, I'm Floyd Mayweather's first cousin. That is the celebrity that I have been telling people that I'm related to, but I had refused to tell anybody because I wanted to keep it a secret. I've got a ton of other pictures too. Just a minute. I think it's in my phone. So let me try to email myself the last picture I took with Floyd, probably about 2-3 years ago. Just a minute. Let me see if I can find it. You've been on TV? Joystick Guru, what is up? Yes, I've been on TV before when Floyd fought Oscar De La Hoya and they did the De La Hoya 24/7. HBO came to my grandmother's house and they was there for like 3 hours. I'll probably say the first Jason Elliott, you said he whooped the shit out of Arturo Gatti. I was at that fight in Atlantic City. Floyd paid for us to come out there. It was like, man, you should have seen the hotel room that we was in, man. Motherfucking hot tub inside the hotel room. And my grandmother, her room looked like a fucking condo. Couch, stove, all kinds of shit in there. But I was at the Gotti fight. I've been at several of Floyd's fights. I was at the Zab Judah fight when Zab Judah socked Floyd in the balls. I almost went into the ring. I almost went into the ring when all that chaos broke out. Because, when you see something happen to one of your relatives, it's a natural reaction to want to jump out of your seat and do something. So when Judah socked Floyd in the balls, I was about to go into the ring because I was only 10 rows back. And all of Floyd's goons, they all jumped in the ring and it was like chaos every fucking where. And then Suge Knight, him and all his gorillas surrounded the ring and they looked like they was getting ready to do something. But then the police surrounded the ring. So, I mean, it was straight up crazy that night. I was at that fight, the Zab Judah fight. I was at the Arturo Gatti fight. I was at the Andre Berto fight. I think Floyd fought here in Grand Rapids. See, I mean, if people would have been paying attention to some of the things that I said when I said I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I'm related to a famous person, some people should have been able to connect the dots, but they didn't. We have a stadium here called Van Andel Arena, and Floyd has fought at that arena, about 3 times, and I was at every one of those fights ringside because he gave me ringside tickets, and in one of his fights early in Floyd's career, I walked him into the ring. He was getting ready to. We have a stadium here called the Deltaplex, and it used to be called Stadium Arena. So when shortly into Floyd's pro career, when he was about 5 fights into his pro career, Jason Elliott, Floyd hurt his hands before Floyd was whooping motherfuckers' asses left and right before he started breaking his hands. So this fight where I walked Floyd into the ring, before Floyd got super famous, he was coming home a lot, and he would call me every now and then. So one time he called home, before the fight, because this fight, they called it the Fighting Mayweathers, because it was the only time that Floyd, Roger, and Jeff all fought on the same night, in Grand Rapids. It was huge. Roger fought first. Roger's hands was long, fucked up, and he wasn't pulling the trigger to knock people out like he used to, but he wanted to give the hometown crowd a good fight. So he gave it everything he had and finally knocked the dude out in like the 10th round. Jeff, on the other hand, his fight went the distance because the dude that he fought had an iron fucking chin, and that dude would not go down. Have I been to the Kellogg Arena or the Cobb Arena? No, I have not. And so while those fights was going on, I was running back and forth between being ringside and back in Floyd's dressing room. And this one Mexican dude who was like Floyd's cut man, his name was Rafael. I can't remember his name. If you know boxing, you know who he is because he wears that brim with all those pins all over the top of it. So the dude was in the back room, singing some opera and shit like that. We was all laughing our ass off from him, from him singing opera. And then when it was time for the fight, like 3 or 4 of us was in the front and 3 or 4 of us was in back of Floyd. So we walked him out to the ring, and it was crazy listening to all those people cheering and shit like that. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, all these people here to see my cousin, and then so when we finally got to the turnbuckle of the ring, then security said, okay, that's it. Only from here, only the trainers and the fighters. And so Floyd went into the ring, and he stopped the dude in the first round with a body shot. And he stopped him in the first round. And a lot of people was like blown away because they was like, dude, he really got that much power. Because like Floyd back then, he'd be the first one to admit that back then, early in his career, he used to take people out with body shots, especially Mexican fighters, because they had a really hard head. You couldn't take them out with headshots. So, yeah, I got a ton of stories from when I was a kid growing up with Floyd, because I used to babysit him when his father was still fighting. And, when I was like, 13 years old, and Floyd was like 3 years old, Floyd Sr. would, come by my house, come by my parents' house and would be like, who want to watch little Floyd tonight? And I'm like, me, because like, 13 years old and, Floyd Sr. give me $20, $30, $40 for the night and, 13-year-old kid. And this is during the time when candy bars only cost 15 cents, so I'm getting $20. So after a while, my brothers wanted to get in on that money. So it was getting to the point where we was fighting it out over who was going to babysit Floyd. And, early in his life, Floyd didn't have any brothers. So me and my brothers was the closest thing that Floyd had to having brothers. So when Floyd got old enough that we didn't need to babysit him anymore, he would still jump on his bike and come to my mother's house and hang out with us. But goddamn, did he have a mouth back then? It was like, y'all see how thin I was in that picture, right? Got to take off JP Loco. All right. One time, so y'all saw in that picture how thin I was with Floyd, back in 97. So Floyd, like, he used to fuck with me, because like back then, my brother used to call me the white girl killer because, back then when I was a pretty boy and shit like that, I used to get these, white chicks that look like Barbie dolls straight out of Maybelline commercials and shit like that. And, so Floyd used to fuck with me when I used to have these girls over, and he would call me all kinds of names and shit like that. And so, but he was so fucking fast. I was fast too, but he was faster, so I couldn't catch him. I used to chase him all over the motherfucking yard, and I could never catch him. So I used to try to, you know how lions, when they get ready to stalk their prey, they inch closer and closer through the weeds and shit like that. So I used to try to do that to Floyd, and I used to try to walk over next to Floyd a couple inches closer to him and try to get within arm's reach. But every time I took a step closer to Floyd, he would take a step back because he knew I was trying to get his little ass. And so I said, fuck it. I just jumped out and ran after his ass. And Floyd put a Barry Sanders move on me. And it caused me to slip in a bunch of dirt. And I hit a house. You know, I hit the side of a house face first. Smashed my face up against the side of the damn house. And everybody laughing at me and shit like that. And Floyd was sitting there laughing. And he was telling everybody, he said, I shook that tall sack of bones, you know. Yeah, Floyd used to say some of the dumbest jokes. It was like, you know, he was like, you know, your dick got melted cheese on it, shit like that. He used to say some crazy ass jokes. You know, my mother still has old VHS tapes of when we used to have barbecues, and Floyd used to come over there, you know, when he had the high top fade and wearing cross color outfits and shit like that, you know, doing the Running Man dancing and shit like that. You know, I got a lot of stories, you know, and then, you know, with Floyd Sr. being my uncle, he fought Sugar Ray Leonard before. He fought Sugar Ray Leonard with a broken hand. And so what happened was he signed a contract to fight Sugar Ray Leonard. And this fight was in Providence, Rhode Island. And my mother drove there to see the fight. And so when Floyd Sr. signed that contract to fight Sugar Ray Leonard, the terms of the fight was that he could not take any tune-up fights. So Floyd Sr. took an underground fight that nobody knew about, and he broke his hand in that fight. So the day of the fight, the doctor gave him a choice. They said, we can spray some shit on your hands to numb it. He said, but you could completely break the hand and do permanent damage to it, and you won't know it. You won't feel shit. Or you could go raw and deal with the pain, and that's what he did. So if you go back, the fight was on ABC Wide World of Sports. If you go back on, you can go to YouTube and watch that fight. There was a point where Sugar Ray was, you know, bending his head down trying to come in, and Floyd hit him right on top of the head. And I seen him wince. It was basically holding his hand. That's the punch that he threw that completely broke his hand. And I don't know, Floyd came home, you know, this is Floyd Sr. He came home a couple of days after the fight. You know, we was at my grandmother's house, and the door swung open, you know, and Big Floyd, you know, that's what we called him, Big Floyd and Little Floyd. Big Floyd walked through the door. We all jumped up and started cheering and ran up to him and hugged him and shit. And then, you know, he reached in his pocket and pulled out a wad of money and just started giving money out to everybody. So, I mean, I got a ton of stories, you know, and so, you know, I come from a family of athletes, and way back when we was kids, you know, like maybe, you know, Floyd Sr. would get into an argument with, you know, one of my aunts or something like that, you know, about who's faster or that kind of shit. So we would all get out in the middle of the street and have a race to settle the argument. And my grandmother was racing with us because my grandmother was fast. You know, here she is, you know, my grandmother was, you know, I think my grandmother was only about shit. She was still fairly young, because at the time, like when we used to have these races, I was about 10 years old. That would have made my mother 27 at the time, because my mother had me when she was 17, and my mother, you know, my grandmother had my mother when she was young. So I think my grandmother was like 47 years old, out in the middle of the street having these races with us. So, you know, and since everybody knew who my family was, since everybody knew we was Mayweathers, you know, whenever we get out in the middle of the street to have those races, everybody would sit up on the porch to watch us have that race and shit. It was crazy. So, I mean, I got a ton of stories, like, you know, like Roger, for instance. Roger was, before he became a boxer, Roger was a two-bit thief. One time, my mother dropped me off at my grandmother's house, and she gave me $5 before she left. And she told Roger, she said, take the kids to the store to get some candy. And so we went to the store. It was this supermarket called A&P. I don't know if they still around or not, but we went to A&P, and we went to the end of the cashier line, and Roger grabbed a paper bag. And then we went into the aisles, and Rogers was like, "What you want?" And I was like, "I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this." And, he filled the bag up with candy. And so when it was time, when the bag was full, I'm thinking it's time to go pay for this shit. But instead, Roger took me to the back door, and he opened the door and said, "Go home." And I said, "Wait a minute, don't we got to pay for this stuff?" He said, "Get out of here, go home." And that was it. I left. And then, so I'm thinking to myself, maybe, I didn't see Roger for a couple hours. So I'm thinking maybe he got caught or something. And well, it turned out he did the same thing with my brother, because my mother gave me and my brother $5, and Roger did the same thing with him. Took him through the store, filled his bag up with candy, and took him out the back door and told him to go home. We didn't pay for the shit. There was another time, there was a party store around the corner from my grandmother's house called Big G's. And one time I was at this party store. It was me, Roger, and Jeff. And does anybody remember those gummy candies that used to look like pennies? So this store, Big G's, had a whole jar of these gummy candies. So Roger was pointing at the shelf and acted like he wanted a pack of cigarettes. So while the store attendant was, reaching up on the shelf and trying to get these packs of cigarettes, Roger opened up that fish jar, stuck his hand in there, and grabbed a whole handful of those gummy pennies that I was talking about, stuffed them all in his mouth, damn near swallowed all of them right there on the spot. So when the woman turned around with the pack of cigarettes, Roger was like, "No, I don't want them." And we walked out the store. Roger used to steal just to steal. He did it just because he enjoyed stealing. Mr. Pyle, what's up? There was another time, stealing bikes was Roger's specialty back then. There was a time where one time where Roger was getting ready to go somewhere, and he left the house. He got about 3 houses down the road, and he decided that he did not want to walk. So there was a bike right there in front of him, and he jumped on that bike and pedaled off on it. And it was one of those girls' bikes with the child seat on the back of it. We used to call those bikes Sea Biscuits back then. He didn't give a fuck. He jumped on that bike and rode off. I will also say that Roger was crazy too. Roger is as small as he is. As small as Roger was, he wasn't scared of anybody. There was this dude in the neighborhood. I forgot what his real name was, but we called him Count. And he was a big dude too. He was like, about 6 feet, 6'1", about 250 pounds. And Roger got into an argument with this dude, and he had a dog. Roger had a dog chain wrapped around his arms, around his fist. And he was going to hit the dude with the chain, and Roger was cussing him out and calling him all kinds of bitches and stuff like that. And you talking, Roger was like 120 pounds and this dude like 250. Roger was calling him all kinds of bitches and stuff like that. And the dude was like, "I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight you." And I think the biggest reason why that dude did not want to fight him, because I think he was scared that if he would have beat Roger's ass, that Big Floyd would have came back for him. Because back then when I was a kid, Big Floyd was knocking people out on the street. Because he was starting to dabble in dope dealing. And so if people owed him money and they didn't pay it, Big Floyd didn't hesitate to punch him in the face. He even punched one of our own cousins in the face for not paying him. And see, Big Floyd back then, it was like somebody owe him some money. He was like, "You got my money?" And they'd be like, "Nope." And he was like, "Next time I see you, you better have my money." And then Big Floyd would see him again, maybe a couple of days later, and be like, "You got my money?" And they'd be like, "Nope." Pow! He punched him in the face that quick. I mean, Big Floyd didn't fuck around like that. I mean, he still got some of that craziness in him right now, even at 65 years old. If you owe him some money, he will not hesitate about talking about whooping your ass if you don't get his money. He do not fuck around with his money. So, I mean, I got a ton of stories from growing up back then, you know, and one thing that you said, you try to avoid fights, but sometimes you gotta throw hands. That Stewie Griffin got my money. Yep. Hey, that was Big Floyd for you. He didn't fuck around with his money. Shit, one time I thought I was gonna get my ass beat by him because when he started dabbling in the drug game, I was fucking around on the corners for a minute. I was fucking around on the corner, standing on the corner selling rocks for a minute. So for a minute, I was actually getting my dope from Floyd Sr. I call him up and say I'm gonna come see you because we couldn't say shit over the phone because it was still landlines and shit like that back then. So I couldn't say shit over the phone because I didn't want to run the risk of his phone being tapped. So I just say, I need to see you. So I would come over there and he would front me like a quarter ounce of dope. And then I would take it to one of my best friends and he would rock the shit up for me. He would put it in one of them little tubes and fire up a boiling pot of water, put the baking soda in there, turn the shit into rocks, and we would chop the shit up. And then I'd throw him a few rocks for mixing the shit up for me. I would go sell the shit on the corner and I would take Big Floyd his money and then I would keep the rest. Well, now I had a situation where I had lost my job and I still owe Floyd Sr. some money. And the fucked up part about it, this is how my mother ended up finding out I was fucking around selling dope. One time the phone rang and I put it on loudspeaker. And I'm like, hello? And then I heard my name get called out. And I'm like, what's up? And he was like, well, what's up, man? And it was Floyd Sr. I said, oh, fuck. I know he calling about his money. And I just said, I'm going to come and see you and left it at that. And then my mother gave me this crazy ass look like I know what you're doing. So I ended up taking, like, when I lost this job, I ended up having to take that last check and give it to Floyd Sr. because I owed him some money. I owed him a couple $100. So I had to take that last check and pay him. Because after the way I saw him punch one of our cousins in the face, I thought he probably wouldn't hesitate to punch me in the face, even though I'm his nephew. So, but after that, that was my last time fucking around with that shit. So, but yeah, he ended up getting, Floyd Sr. ended up, getting busted. They never caught him with anything. What happened was, he was dealing with this dude who owned a grocery store. And what they were doing was they were bringing in dope through washing powder. So they was like cutting open the bottom of washing powder boxes and, and putting the sandwich bag full of dope in there. And that's how they was transporting shit. Well, this dude ended up getting busted, the owner of the store, and he ratted out everybody that was in the operation with him. And Floyd Sr. name came up. And so even though they never caught him with any dope, even though they never, couldn't catch him on any kind of tap phone calls, they still locked him up and gave him 6 years in prison. We also had a police officer on the inside. There was a police officer. His name was Maurice Barnes, a light-skinned dude who was a Grand Rapids police officer. And every time the police was getting ready to try to make a move on Floyd Sr., that cop would let him know that, the cops is getting ready to make a move on you, so you need to lay low. And so that's one of the reasons why he avoided getting caught for so damn long. And so one time, let me see, Floyd Sr. had he came out of retirement for one fight. He fought this dude named Roger Turner at our DeVos Hall. Yeah, that's another story I got for y'all. When Floyd Sr. was in his prime, but you know, he came out of retirement. By this time, you know, Floyd Sr.'s like, you know, 40 years old or some shit like that. And people was like, why is he fighting? You know, he old, he this, he that, and shit like that. But what it was is he fought so he could, you know, so he could explain his income. You know what I mean? So the fight was to justify his income because he had houses and cars and shit like that, even though he wasn't working. So, but here in Grand Rapids, we it kind of still somewhat exists today, but we had this you know, this arena downtown called the Civic Auditorium. And you know, since Floyd Sr. was a local hero, he fought there a lot. And every time he fought there, it would be packed, you know. So here in Grand Rapids, a lot of people came to see Floyd Sr. fight. You know, and one time Floyd Sr. fought this dude named Sammy Rooker. And you know, and Floyd Sr. whooped his ass, you know, and was like talking shit to him in the ring and everything. And the next day, our newspaper had Floyd Sr. front page, this huge picture, and it was like one section just like totally dedicated to that fight. It was like 3-4 pages of just pictures everywhere from the fight. So, but yeah, I mean, the next time I do a stream, I'll have some more pictures together. And now I'll show you guys some more pictures. Like I said, I got that one family picture where I was about 15 and Floyd was about 5, you know, Floyd Jr. or Little Floyd. He always going to be Little Floyd to us, even though the public knows him as Floyd Mayweather Jr. or Money May or something like that. But to the family, he's Little Floyd. That's, you know, and his father is Big Floyd. But the next time I do a podcast, like maybe this Sunday when I do the live from Wakanda, I'll show some more pictures. And I mean, and after Floyd started making some serious money, you know, he would take us on a trip about once or twice a year. So I've been to Las Vegas, God knows how many times. I've been to LA a couple of years ago when Floyd had his 40th birthday party. I was at that, you know, birthday party, and I took some pictures with some celebrities. You know, I took a picture with Glenn Big Baby Davis, the rapper Lil Mama. I took a picture with her. I took a picture with the football player Terrell Owens. You know, I shook Fat Joe hand, the rapper Fat Joe, but I didn't get a picture with him because by then my phone was dead. But he was cool, and I know he would have took a picture with me. And then like when Floyd fought Arturo Gatti, I met a lot of celebrities at that fight. I took a picture with Bill Parcells. You know, Bill Parcells, the football coach, used to be coach of the Giants and the Dallas Cowboys and the New England Patriots. I took a picture with him. Jalen Rose and Chris Webber. I met them. I didn't take a picture with them. Like Jalen Rose, I just walked up to him, said, "Yo, I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan. You know, I'm Floyd's cousin. You know, I watched y'all back in the Fab 5 days. You know, can I shake your hand?" He was like, "Yes." Put his hands out. You know, shook my hand, pulled me in, gave me that bro hug. You know, and Chris Webber, I didn't say nothing to him because he was already mad at the media because they had, you know, got up in his business when he was supposedly dating Tyra Banks. So he was already mad at the media for that shit. Stephen A. Smith, he took a picture with our entire family. Now this is funny. One time on remember when back in 2004 when the Detroit Pistons had won the championship with Chauncey Billups, Richard Hamilton, and you know, and Rasheed Wallace. Well, Slava Medvedenko was about to pick a fight with Rasheed Wallace. And on that night on ESPN, you know, Stephen A. Smith was like, you know, before Medvedenko tried to pick a fight, he need to go get some game. And it was like, who are you talking about? And he said, Slava Medvedenko. And he was yelling and shit when he said it. So at the Gotti fight, I saw Stephen A. Smith, you know, signing autographs, talking to people. So I walked up on him and I said, Stephen A. Smith, what's up? I said, Slava Medvedenko. And he pointed at me and he started laughing and shit, right? And so I went up to him and I told him, yo, you know, Floyd Mayweather's cousin, you know, we here from Grand Rapids for the fight. And he was like, oh, cool, you know, shook my hand, all kinds of stuff like that. So somebody wanted to take a picture. There was a professional photographer there, and he wanted to take a picture with the family. And right before we took the picture, we was like, hey, Stephen A., come take a picture with the Mayweather family. So he stood right in the middle of us and held up, you know, a Floyd t-shirt. And they was like, everybody say cheese. And we was like, no. Everybody say Slava Medvedenko. And he broke out laughing. And they took that picture. That was, and then the crazy part about it was Stephen A. must have told his ESPN colleagues about that night, because a couple of days later, ESPN was getting ready to go to a commercial break, and Stuart Scott was like, you know, when we come back from commercial break, we gonna have Stephen A. Smith and Slava Medvedenko, you know. So Stephen A. must have told him about that night. So, you know, that Stuart Scott was taking a shot back at him and fucking with him about it. That shit was hilarious too. Now one of the coolest celebrities I met that night at the Gotti fight was Charlie Murphy. He is one of the coolest celebrities I ever met in my entire life. You know, I came into the building, you know, into the stadium, and I was seeing all these celebrities everywhere. So I was just blown away. You know, Jay-Z and Beyonce was there. You know, when they came there, everybody just erupted. It was just cheers everywhere. You know, they had about 30 people with them and shit. I was sitting 2 seats behind Allen Iverson. Now he was a dick, you know, he was getting mad at people wanting to take pictures with him. I actually had a situation with one of his bodyguards. I had a problem with one of his bodyguards. I'll get to that story in a minute, but so one of my relatives was like, there go Charlie Murphy. He had on a red and white striped shirt. He had a red brim, and he had on some ruby red, you know, sunglasses on. And I was like, Charlie Murphy, what's up? You know, and then I was like, yo, I'm Floyd Mayweather cousin. I'm here from the fight, you know, for the fight. And he looked at me, turned his head. He was like, man, that's a bad cat. And then so I was like, yo, Charlie Murphy, who you think gonna win the fight? And Charlie Murphy was like, man, you even have to ask me that, you know. So that was funny. So after the fight was over, you know, so Gotti, you know, his corner stopped the fight. So when they stopped the fight, we was jumping up and down in our seats, screaming and laughing and cheering and all kinds of shit. And I turned around because I was screaming in the air. When I turned around, Charlie Murphy was pointing right at me. You know, like I see you. And then so after all the shit was calming down and people were starting to leave the stadium, you know, I asked Charlie Murphy, I said, can I get a picture with you? He was up in his seat. He had one bodyguard with him, and he had a girl with him. And so when he said, yeah, I'll take a picture with you, I was a little bit worried that if I would have climbed the guardrail, I would have got kicked out of the stadium. So he saw that I was a little bit worried about that. So he's like, you know, you cool, I'll come down there. So he came down there, and he put his arm around me, and he gave that big giant Eddie Murphy smile, you know, and took that picture with him. I'm trying to think, you know, what other celebrities did I meet there? I know at the Zab Judah fight, when Floyd fought Zab Judah, I was sitting right next to Steve Smith, you know, Smitty from Michigan State, the basketball player. I was sitting right next to him. And during that fight, and you can go back and see it yourself, you know, so I'm talking to Steve Smith, right? You know, we talking about his days at Michigan State and shit like that. All of a sudden, there was a loud ass, you know, this dude stood up. And I said, who the fuck is this dude? And he was probably about 5 rows down from me. I said, who the fuck is this dude think he God? You know, and everybody started screaming and cheering. And I looked up at the Jumbotron, the giant speaker up above. It was Magic Johnson, you know, like 7, 8 rows down from me. I was like, okay, that's why the dude stood up. And so yeah, I got a few stories. Also, the weekend that Floyd fought Arturo Gatti, this was a couple of days before this was like the day before the fight, because we got there the day before the fight. I met Max Kellerman. You know, I didn't tell him I was Floyd's cousin. It was just so many celebrities coming and going out of that hotel. And I was like, yo, Max, what's up? He was like, what's up, man? I said, hey, man, what happened with the fight night game? You know, and he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, for the love of God, where's the defense? You know, I was talking about one of the sound bites that they took for the game. And I said, how come you ain't on the game no more? And he was like, hey, they wanted to go in a different direction. You know, so that was, you know, that was the quick conversation there. I met Mark Breland. He was a dude that fought on the Olympics. He was I think he won the gold medal in the Olympics in 1980. Vieira-Tron, what is up? What is up? I met him. I shook hands with Tommy Hearns. You know, it was like, you know, we really didn't even say anything. You know, we just made eye contact. You know, I put my hand out like, what's up? You know, and he, you know, gave me a handshake and then, you know, kept it moving. Now, one of the funniest moments there was everybody knows, like, remember Jim Lampley used to commentate the HBO fights. So he was there because he commentated the fight. So right after the fight was over, we went back into the casino lobby, you know, so it's me, my mother. I still got this on tape somewhere. It's me, my mother, and the rest of our family. So Jim Lampley, you know, he recognized us. He knew we was Mayweathers. So he came up to us and started talking to us, and he was talking about how Floyd, you know, put a whooping on him, and he was like, you know, Floyd really did a number on him. And so I was holding my camcorder, because back then, you know, people were still using 8mm camcorders. So Jim Lampley looked at me and he was like, you know, he was like, is that a camera? And I was like, yeah. He said, turn it on. I was like, we in a casino. They'll take it from me, you know, because they don't like people filming shit in casinos. He was like, oh, we're in a casino. You can do whatever you want. Turn the camera on. So I was like, all right. I turned the camera on. He put his arm around my mother and he was like, hey, gang, this is Jim Lampley with the Mayweather family. Woo, 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 and all that stuff. So I still got that. I still got that in my vault somewhere. That's still on tape. You know, I could provide it to you. But I would have to go through holy hell to convert the video. But I still have it on an 8mm tape. Let me see. I seen Floyd brought us out to an Adrian Broner fight. This is when Adrian Broner, when he was on the rise and he was beginning to be, you know, his name was starting to get up there, because I had never heard of Adrian Broner. So what happened was, Impatient Fire, I got a trillion stories. All that shit that I never told y'all about because I didn't want anybody knowing who I was related to. You know, even one time I was talking to Porter Rock, you know, and this was after we played that game, when we played the baseball game that I streamed for you guys. After we went off air, I told Porter Rock, I said, I'm thinking about calling Zaire out and beat his ass on fight night. And he said, if Porter Rock warned me, he said, if you go in there, do not, he said, if you wanted to remain a secret that you are related to Floyd Mayweather, do not tell him. He said, because if you tell him, it's going to get out. So yeah, I you know, like I said, I kept that from y'all. I kept it a secret. I didn't want anybody knowing about it. What's some other what's some other funny stories? Oh, I got another funny story for y'all, right? The weekend that Floyd fought Andre Berto, which was supposed to be his last fight, he brought us out to Las Vegas for that fight, and he gave us each $500 for spending money and shit, and so I was getting ready to go to my room, and I'm waiting in the lobby, and the elevator door comes open, and Roger came walking out of the door. And one of my cousins that was with Roger, I'm not going to say my real name. I'm just going to say Lincoln, And one of my cousins was like, he was telling Roger, he said, there go Lincoln. And Roger looked at me and said, I don't know him, and kept on going. And then my cousin was telling him, he said, Lincoln, your nephew Lincoln. And then he stopped and he turned around and he walked right up to me because Roger hadn't seen me in about 5 years. So he didn't know I had put on all this muscle. So he looked at me, he snatched my hat off, and he kind of threw my hat on the ground. And when he recognized it was me, he started laughing. So I didn't say nothing to him. I just grabbed him and hugged him. And he was laughing, and he was like, God damn, I didn't recognize this motherfucker. He's like, this motherfucker looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was a pretty funny story too. This was like, while Roger still had, some of his marbles, he was starting to slowly go out. I will say that about Roger. He showed signs 20 years ago of, the effects from all the fights that he had, because when you would talk to Roger, if you were having a conversation with Roger, if he spoke in a very soft tone, he would stop and draw a blank. He would stop right in the middle of talking and would just sit there in a daze, and he wouldn't finish whatever he was saying. But for whatever reason, if he was talking really loud, he was able to finish what he was saying, and he remained coherent in the conversation. So so I knew back then, I was like, he was already starting to show signs of all the wars that he had been in started to take effect on him. So shit. One time Roger came home. This was shortly after he won the championship. When Roger won his first championship, our city in Grand Rapids, Roger was the first champion that our city had in 76 years. The last person that was our champion in Grand Rapids was Stanley Ketchel back in 1905. Guru the Legends, you been said you related to Mayweather. No, I didn't. I just said I was related to a celebrity. I wouldn't tell anybody because I know how many people do not like Floyd. So that's why I did not tell anybody for the longest that I was related to him. So, I mean, I don't know what that's supposed to, I don't know what that statement's supposed to mean. I'm just, sharing a few laughs. So and I would have kept it a secret and not told you guys, but I just received a text message from one of my cousins that Roger's kidneys is not doing very good. So he's supposed to be going under dialysis or whatever. So, so she was just letting the family know. And a lot of my family members are not in good health. So, I mean, you say no point in hiding my name at this point, but why should I jump out and say it? My last name is not Mayweather, though. I am a Mayweather, but my last name is not Mayweather. Mayweather is my mother's maiden name. And I can tell you right now that one of the things that I had to deal with a lot of over the years is I would never really go out of my way to tell people that I'm related to Floyd. You know, people would just end up finding out one way or the other. And some people, a lot of people, in fact, you know, would be like, "You're Floyd Mayweather's cousin," and I'm like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Oh my God, that's so cool," and blah 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 and shit like that. No, Grand Rapids is in Michigan. There is a Grand Rapids in Minnesota, but this is Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm talking about. Um, so people would find out that I'm Floyd's cousin and be like, "You're Floyd Mayweather's cousin," and I'm like, "Yeah," and they were like, "Oh, that's so cool." 5 minutes later, they like, "He's such an asshole. I can't wait for him to get knocked out." You know, and so that is one of the reasons why I have such an attitude where I say people are entitled to their opinions, because I had to listen to that shit for years. If I went off and tried to fight every single people who told me they don't like Floyd, you know how many fights I would be in? People are entitled to their opinions. I cannot do anything about it. My brother, on the other hand, is a hothead. So every time somebody would tell him they didn't like Floyd, my brother would be ready to fight him. You know, there was a few times where I let my temper get the better of me, like when Floyd was supposed to when Floyd was getting ready to fight Oscar De La Hoya. Um, a Mexican girl that I worked with, she didn't like Floyd, and she wanted him to lose, and she let me know about it. And she said Floyd's gonna lose, and that shit got me so mad. I said Floyd is gonna win this fight, and I said I'm willing to bet my check on it. And she didn't say anything. That's just, you know, that's just the shit that I had to deal with over the years. See you later. See you later, Garuda. Sounds like you had a bad experience with a celeb. So this podcast wasn't about trying to tell celeb stories. A family situation finally made me decide to come out of the closet and admit that I'm, you know, admit who I'm related to. So if you don't like this, then that's on you. So you are welcome to go. So that's what it sounded like in Patient Fire, which was really surprising because for the most part, you know, he's been pretty good whenever he came into the chat. So it took me a little bit by surprise to see him respond like that, you know. Thank you, Vieira. Up until now, he had never been rude with me, but you know, if he didn't want to hear the you know, if he didn't want to hear the stories, he knew where the front door was. He's welcome to leave. Believe me, if he finds my new channel, I will be very very rude. You know, because I know I'm going to be dealing with a lot of people who are not going to like some of the things that I'm going to have to say. So I'm already prepared to tell them, if you don't like it, fuck you. You know, so you're probably going to be hearing a lot of that on this other channel because there's going to be a lot of controversial shit that's going to rub people the wrong way. You know, this channel here, I care about losing subs, not because I want to see a bunch of, I don't, not because I want to try to get the 30,000 subs, because I consider all of you friends. Jamal Adams, what is up? Simply Deep, you said you met very few celebs in my lifetime, like Mia Hamm and Terry Funk. You talking about Terry Funk from the WWF? Terry Funk from the Double Cross Ranch? Arian Drake, I can tell you right now, one of my close friends said, "So are you trying to make a salty BET channel?" I don't know. Saying patient fire. You guess he feels when he talks to people on chat that he knows them personally, and it gives them a right to be rude. You know, I could have easily gave him the fuck you and stuff like that, but I'm not that type of person. At least not on this channel. I'm not. I might be that way on this new channel. Because when I get on some cultural and social topics, the people that I might talk about are going to be highly offended. So I expect to see a lot of people get upset. Simply D, you always have a chill, down to earth personality. That's why I subbed to you last year. I appreciate it. You said patient fire. Keep telling your great family stories, Link, and ignore the salty feelings from Garuda. Midori, you out of here? We'll catch you later, partner. Garuda, you said, don't you remember me saying Mayweather can't read on the round table? No, I do not. Then you said I'm related to him. No, I've never said that I'm related to him. I know Thrash accidentally slipped up and said it a couple of times that I was related to Floyd, and I quick jumped in, was like, hey, you know, because I was like, you know, I was hoping that he was catching the message that I didn't want it out. I didn't want it out that I was related to him. Thrash was the first person that I told that I was related to Floyd. Arian Drake, expect to see 1 million thumbs down. Yeah, but there'll probably be 1 million thumbs up too. There's going to be, you know, some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about on this new channel. A lot of people are going to be upset, but a lot of people are going to like it too. So, but I mean, as far as I think another time Thrash let it out. One time I was in the PlayStation chat with him, and he mentioned something about it, and there was a couple of people in that chat too. So I don't know. You know, I was dealing with haters every day that don't like him. I was dealing with haters every single day. It was bad enough dealing with that shit on the street. I didn't want to have to deal with it on YouTube. I think there was Simply D says sometimes I can be a little extra with my conversations, but also try to be respectful of your platform as well. And we can all use a little balance when it comes to things like this. Exactly. You know, Simply Deep, you've always been polite. You know, you've asked me some questions that caught me off guard a few times, but you've always been polite. Stardust Sarah, I swear you could have sworn that you said you were related to Mayweather before. I think you said it on 6 podcasts. No, he said it. I think one time we were talking about the Creed Rise to Glory game, and I think he was mentioning about, you know, that time I beat his ass on Creed Rise to Glory a couple of months ago. And he was like, you know, what you expect? He related to Mayweather. And again, I was like, hey, you know, because I believe me, you I have, this is the first time that I let it out on YouTube, that I went out of my way to tell people that I'm related to them. Every person that I told, Porter Rock, Thrash, Sick, Craig, all of them, every one of them that I told, I said, keep it under your hat because I don't want to get out. Say Garuda Legends, why do you think I said stuff like, please don't break my arm or throw me off the planet? I figured it had something to do with my size because I am fairly strong. Just Simply Deep, only use YouTube as entertainment. Escape from some crap and learn something new. Mm-hmm. Simply Deep, I came to YouTube because I was already furious with Microsoft because of the way they handled the Red Rings of Death situation. They was like really fucking people over and was not um, honoring that shit. In the beginning, they were not fixing people's councils, but calling it exactly the way I see it on the outside looking in. When people were becoming furious with Microsoft and they were threatening to buy the PS3 when it was getting ready to release. Now all of a sudden Microsoft was like, oh, we're listening to our customers. We care about our customers, blah, blah, blah. If your shit's broken, put it in the box, whoop-de-whoop, and you heard me tell that story on more than one occasion about how they sent me back some broken shit and then wanted to try to charge me to fix it. So going into this generation, I was already furious with Microsoft. And then, when they put out the Xbox One, that shit was broken. The party chats was breaking down, games was freezing. The shit was $500. You had the DRM. You couldn't break the connect loose from the console. All that shit put together, it was like it just compounded the anger that I had for them, on top of why I was already, disliking them. So Garuda Legends, you said, yes, you're big, no homo, but you related to Mayweather. I want no beef. You're a cool person regardless who you related to. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate that. And that's another reason why I didn't let that out. I didn't want to be prejudged because of who I'm related to. I wanted you guys to judge me for me and not who I'm related to. But I haven't seen Floyd in shit about. Last time I seen him was when he had his 40th birthday party in LA. And it was and I talked about the celebrities that I took a picture with. Speaking of which, Adrian Broner deliberately bumped into me at that party. He backed up, bumped into me, and then turned around and looked at me as if he thought I was going to jump out of my seat. So it was like, oh, Adrian Broner, But I just looked at him and then just turned around and went the other way. Now, the women that was at that party, oh my God. It was so many beautiful women there. I got that on video too. It was a chick in there that looked just like Lil Kim. And at that party, Floyd had 2 white tigers in cages. Again, when I gather up some of these pictures and show them to you guys, he had 2 white tigers in cages. One of them was a big ass tiger. The other one was a medium sized tiger. And all I could think about, the cage had a lock on it, had a key lock on it. And all I could think was, if somebody let that tiger out, somebody's about to be lunch. So, and I, like, every time I walked by the cage, I was looking at the tigers to see if they was going to get aggravated or anything. But the tigers was just chilling out and just looking around like, like whatever. tomorrow I could, when I wake up, I could very well regret saying this. I could very well say I wish I hadn't told anybody, but I got that bad news. Garuda, you said you defeated Porter Rock sick and uncompetitive online. You're the gaming homie. I appreciate it. Oh yeah. I'm thinking about, Creed, a lot of those fights that I had with the trash talking and shit like that. Because when I was young, so naturally now that you know who I'm related to, you can probably imagine that I did a lot of trash talking when I was young, which I did. When I was a kid, I did a lot of trash talking because my whole family talked trash. And so that's, once in a while it'll come back out. The trash talking will come back out. Thanks, Garuda. Shit. One time I called myself trying to spar Roger. That was not a good idea. This was shortly after he won his first championship, and he came home, and he opened his duffel bag and he had a pair of boxing gloves in his duffel bag. He only had one pair because when I was a kid and Floyd Sr. was still fighting, he had boxing gloves laying all over the place. So we was always going into the basement and grabbing these boxing gloves and go out into the backyard and start sparring. We was always fighting. We was like sparring with each other, sparring with the other neighborhood kids and stuff. So, I don't know. I think, Floyd Sr. came and got all his gloves and took them to his house. So this weekend, again, when Roger had came into town, this was shortly after he won his first championship. He opened up his duffel bag and he had a pair of boxing gloves in there, and he only had one pair of boxing gloves in there. And so, so I said, let's spar. And he took the left glove and I took the right glove because he only had one pair of boxing gloves with him. So I'm moving my head around, and Roger was just waiting for the right moment, and then he struck like a fucking snake. Bow! Hit me right in my left eye. It was like a big flash of light, and I was like, fuck that. I took that glove off and put it back in the bag like I'm done. Jamal Adams, I see your message. But I appreciate it. Hey, thanks for that second message, Jamal. I seen that, that's pretty cool. You related to BB King, greatest blues singer ever. He said, simply deep, nothing's wrong with a little trash talk every now and then. It can be useful in certain situations and moments. Now, so do any of you guys remember a while back when I was talking about this friend that I grew up with, that every time we used to play each other, it didn't matter what we played, whether it was basketball, video games, or what have you, the dude used to talk crazy shit to me. And he wasn't, and he was trying to do it. He was trying to do more than try to get into my head. He was trying to destroy it because he wanted my mind to be so fucked up that every time I go up against him, it would already be programmed into my head that I cannot beat him, so I wouldn't even try. And I'm thinking to myself, this, he knew who I was, because we had been friends since I was a kid. So he knew I was a Mayweather. So he knew I came from a family of shit talkers. And then, so instead of trying to talk shit back to this dude, I just used reverse psychology on him. I wouldn't say a word to him. When I would beat him, I would look right at him and never say a word. And that shit used to drive him nuts. Garuda Legends, no lie. I low-key like getting punched in the face. Once fought two dudes in Miami. I knocked out one dude, but got knocked out by the other dude. Shit, I've been sucker punched before and been knocked out by some dudes. It happens. Um, Another area where I used to talk a lot of trash was the bowling alley, because my father's side of the family had a lot of bowlers in it. My uncle was a good bowler. My father was a good bowler. My grandfather was a good bowler. And it passed on to me and my brothers. All of us had 200 averages. The difference, but we got our, we maintained our averages in different ways. I would probably say out of the three of us, I shot the most 200 games, but my scores would always be 204, 203, so I was just barely breaking 200. They didn't throw as many 200 games as I did, but their games, when they did do it, their games was way bigger than me. They would shoot 250s, 260s and shit. Oh, Garuda Legends. So this dude, this friend that I was talking about that used to try to talk shit to me all the time, that's where a lot of our shit talking took place, was at the bowling alley. Now, one time I was with this chick, right? We was out on a date. And so we happened to go to the bowling alley, and my friend was there, the shit talker. And then he said, "Go get your shit and let's bowl for some money." And I told him I don't got any money with me because the girl that I was with, she was paying for the date. She insisted on paying for it. I told her I got it. And she was like, "No, I got this." So when we was at the bowling alley, he was like, "Go get your shit and let's bowl for some money." And I was like, "I ain't got no money with me." And so my boy was like, "Well, I would have beat your ass anyway." So she jumped in and was like, "No, you wouldn't. He would have beat your ass." And he was like, "Who is you?" And she was like, "I know he'll beat your ass." And then he was like, "Fuck it." He was like, "Go get your shit." And I was like, "I ain't got no money." So she said, so she was like, "Look, I got my check with me." And she said, "I put my check up. If he lose, I'll pay you." And then I looked at it, I was like, "Yo, I got no money." I was like, "What if I lose?" She said, I know you got this. Go ahead." And she said, and I was like, "What if I lose?" She was like, "Then you lose. The money ain't no big deal to me. I know you're gonna beat his ass, so go ahead and take him." Long story short, I beat his ass. I took about $400 off his ass. And after that, I told her, I said, "Put your money away. I got this. The rest of the night is on me, whatever you want to do." We went to damn near every bar in town, got fucked up, went and got a hotel room, ordered some pizzas and shit like that. It was like that was a fun night. Now the same shit talking dude, we also used to shoot a lot of dice against each other. So we also used to talk a lot of shit there too. Now, here's what we used to do to each other. At some point or another, he grew up in Chicago. So this is the friend that I was talking about that always used to disrespect the Detroit teams. And he made me hate the Chicago teams because he disrespected my Detroit teams. So we would go shoot dice against each other, right? And he might beat me and take $100 off of me. And then he would go to a mall and buy a Bulls jersey. And he would come back and be like, "Look what you just bought me." I'm like, "Okay, cool." The next time we shoot dice, I take $200 off of him. I go to the mall and buy a Lions coat and come back and be like, "Look what you bought me." So it was back and forth like that and shit. He said, "Garuda Legends, I'm grabbing the biggest ball and launch that bad boy down the lane. I'm breaking pins, not knocking him over." You know what, Garuda, some of the best bowlers that I ever seen had a really slow ball. They balls were so slow that it was like just basically rubbing up against the pins, but it would manage to knock them all down. So, it ain't always power. If you get them pins in the right spot and you got some English on that ball to move those pins around. I also got a lot of stories about when I was about 7 years old, my father bought a ping pong table, bought a table, table tennis, right? And my father was good. And he was beating everybody asses on our block. And it was getting to the point where people from other neighborhoods was coming over to my parents' house to try to take on my father. My father's he's also a chess master too. My father could play some damn chess. Same thing with chess. People from all over the neighborhood was coming to my parents' house to either try to take my father on in chess or take him on in ping pong. And the crazy part about it was my father, he would buy a ping pong paddle and he would break the handle off of it and hold it with his palm. That's how he played. So, over the years, he got old, back started fucking with him. He couldn't play the way he used to. So it got handed off to me and my brothers. We was all good at ping pong, and we was beating everybody. I probably say out of my relatives, the one person that I could not beat was Roger. Because Roger, not only did Roger talk a lot of shit and distract you, he would say something to you, and the minute you open your mouth, he would serve the ball right at you and serve a bullet right past you, and you never seen it coming. So he used to talk mad shit. Now Floyd Sr., he used to beat me in the beginning, but but once I got better, I used to beat his ass and start talking crazy shit to him. Now my other uncle, Jeff Mayweather, I used to beat his ass right from the get-go. I used to beat his ass at the bowling alley too, and used to talk mad shit to him and used to tell him, this ain't the goddamn boxing ring, you in my backyard now. I used to talk all kinds of crazy shit to him. Damn, it's 5 o'clock. It's not as late as I thought it was. I only meant to be on a half an hour just to explain about my other channel, but I appreciate everybody in here letting me share some of these crazy stories from my childhood. I really appreciate that. Let's see here. Okay, I'm just going through some other messages. The other channel, Garuda Legends, is going to be, like I said, it's going to be a channel where I'm going to be tackling a lot of social and cultural issues. Like I said, it's going to have a little bit of a Tommy Sotomayor flavor to it. Another YouTuber that I discovered this week, the Angry Man. I really like his content. It's going to be a little bit of flavor like that. But the big difference between my channel is, as I was saying before, with me being 51 years old, is that I will have a lot of stories to tell about how things was, 30 years ago versus how it is now. But when I go to that other channel, when I start up this other channel, being that I'm probably going to piss a lot of people off, I definitely will have no mention of me being related to Floyd on that channel. So, and Patient Fire, I saw your I haven't come up with the name of the channel yet. Additionally, Garuda Legends, I do not plan on, I kind of don't plan on revealing the name of that channel, because I kind of want to keep the viewers from this channel separate from the viewers of that channel. Because I don't want a situation where I might say something that's going to rub somebody the wrong way on the other channel and then come back over here, and then I gotta, then I got somebody trolling me over here. You said this on that other channel, and so over here it's going to be strictly gaming. And I guess getting that bad news about my Uncle Roger about his kidneys going bad and shit like that. If I hadn't gotten that text message, I wouldn't have let it out that I'm related to Floyd. But for those of you who already knew it and never said anything about it, I really appreciate that. So I fully understand too many feminazis and neckbeards in the gaming community. Definitely. Um, the toxicity that I expect to get on this new channel, I kind of expected to get it over here because over time, as time went on and it started to become, known that the PlayStation is my preferred platform and I have serious disdain for Microsoft, I figured that over time I was going to find myself dealing with Xbox coming in here on some troll shit. Um, but over the last couple of months, I really have not jumped on Microsoft's head that much. And a lot of it had to be because I've been focusing more on the fun that I've been having. Sony has delivered some great games over the past couple of years, and I thoroughly enjoy VR. I really, really enjoy VR. So you say EJ Johnson, let's hope the future doesn't suck. Well, I can't speak for Microsoft because they're not really talking about other than Gears 5 coming out this year. We really don't know in this Ori and the Will of the Wisp shit. Other than that, which looks like an indie game, we really don't know much was coming from Microsoft other than them still talking about buying studios. We do know what's coming from Sony this year, so there's a lot of games to be excited about. And then there's a shit ton of VR games that releases every month. And then we just got that. I think they just got an official trailer for that Warzone game, the first person shooter game on VR that up to 50 people can play online. And the maps are so big that that you'll need vehicles, to go across these maps. So it's gonna have a little bit of a Battlefield flavor to it. So that's a game that I'm really, really looking forward to. So you got that. You got Blood and Truth for PlayStation VR that I'm really looking forward to. And then, we got the heavy hitters that everybody knows about. The Last of Us, Death Stranding, Days Gone, those games, along with some lesser games that we, that's coming too. So a lot of stuff coming in 2019, a lot of stuff I think at least with Sony to get excited about, because the majority of these games that Sony's going to be putting out this year is going to be single player games. So those games are not riddled with microtransactions. You play the story, enjoy it, and then move on to the next game to enjoy. Microsoft and these third-party publishers, any of their multiplayer games is just littered with microtransactions. So, being that I like campaigns and I like to play a game that's got a good story that, almost plays out like a movie, it's really refreshing to play those games. And Garuda Legends, you said the Xbox is an app. I never need an Xbox to play Xbox games going forward. Do the match, Daddy. Daddy is a Phil. Daddy is Phil. Did a pull-out move. Do the math. Yeah, I figured that's what you meant when you said do the match, was do the math. So for 2019, and I'm not saying this to try to bang on them, but Microsoft doesn't have any games that I'm interested in this in 2019. We only know about 2 games that's coming out. I will have Gears 5 because my son is an avid lover of the Gears franchises, and so it's already a given that I'm going to get Gears 5 for him. He can't wait. He keeps asking me when are they going to start taking pre-orders for the game, and with the share feature, that's going to allow me to have the game as well. So, but I don't have any intentions of playing a campaign. I'm just going to watch him play it. I'm just going to watch him play the game, and I might monkey around with the multiplayer, which probably going to be the same shit but with different maps. Stardust. He said Sony's been bringing them Japanese and exclusive games. Yeah, they have. This I think 2019 is going to be another hit for Sony this year. But my hope is that everybody's pretty much of the agreement that whether they're basically doing a Sega, yeah. So whether the PS5 comes out in November of this year, like I've predicted, or in March of 2020, that a lot of people think. One thing is for certain that pretty much 2019 is pretty much going to be it for the PS4 in terms of being the featured console. The PS5, whether it comes out at the end of the year or next year, we will see it. And I think they're going to close this. I think they're going to close the generation out with a bang. Simply Deep. And one more thing about trash talking, it'll also be used in the moments I will not mention. Plus, don't do it too soon or you end up really awkward moment. Yeah. Again, Simply Deep. When I was a kid, because I've come from a family of shit talkers, it was in my DNA to talk shit. My family talks shit everywhere. My uncle Jeff Mayweather did. A lot of people don't know this, but he went to college at Western Michigan, and he has a degree, I think, in graphic design or graphic arts or something like that. And my mother co-signed for his school loan. So when he got done with college, he was working for the Keebler factory during the summer, and he was making pretty good money. But with him having a degree, he wanted to pursue something in that field, but nothing materialized. So what he ended up doing was he went out to Las Vegas to train with Roger because he was an amateur after he got done with college. He was an amateur boxer. And so he went out to Las Vegas to train with Roger a couple of times. And I think part of the reason why he decided to go pro boxing was to pay back the school loan, because he didn't want that stain on my mother's credit for co-signing for his school loan. So he turned pro and became a pro boxer. But I got off the tracks a little bit. But what I meant to say about that, Simply Deep, is if you're familiar with all the Mayweathers, Jeff is the humble one. He is the one that don't talk trash. Floyd talk trash. Floyd Sr. talk trash. Roger used to talk trash. And Jeff was the humble one. He was the professional one in front of the camera. But what people didn't know was that in high school and in college, Jeff was a really good basketball player, and that's where he did most of his shit talking. In fact, Jeff was so good in basketball that when he was at Western, he tried out for the basketball team there, and he was good enough to make the team. In fact, he would have been one of the best players on the team, but the coach did not let him on the team because of the trash talking. So yeah, shit talking is in my DNA. But I think one of the things that toned me down with the trash talking over the years is one of it was dealing with that friend that used to talk trash all the time. Dealing with him, he was one of the reasons why I stopped talking trash, because when you beat somebody and don't say anything to them, that bugs people. And I think the other reason why I stopped talking so much trash is because you look stupid when you lose and you talk trash, like Adrian Broner did last week or the week before when he got his ass beat, but he's still talking shit in that ring. You look like an idiot when you do that. So that's, reasons like that. Like sometimes when I was doing the Creed stream, sometimes I would talk trash to entertain you guys. But for the most part, I didn't talk trash until somebody started it with me first. And if only you guys could have heard some of the shit that some of these people said to me. You say EJ Johnson, I'm surprised there hasn't been a council in the shape of a circle. Hey, you never know. I have to look into this shit about Google possibly having a council. Like this shit might like really be in the making. I might have to look into that, but shit, you never know. Shit. Also, when I was in high school, well, I've got an uncle on my father's side. He wrestled in high school. He went all city. So fast forward to my freshman year in high school, and one of the things we were doing was studying wrestling, and the gym teacher was teaching us the basics of wrestling. And so my uncle got word of it and said, I heard you wrestling now. He misunderstood it. He thought I was trying out for the wrestling team. He didn't know it was just one of the things that was part of the gym class that we were doing wrestling. And we happened to have a mat in the basement. And my uncle said, come on down here. He said, I'm going to show you how to inflict great bodily harm on a person. So he was down there teaching me the guillotine and the grapevine and all kinds of other wrestling moves, because he was trying to tell me he didn't want me to beat people. He wanted me to hurt them. So, probably my last 2 years in high school, I was also on a wrestling team as well. So, and our wrestling coach, I think, he was middle of the road. He picked and chose his moments when to teach us shit that would hurt people. He didn't really set out for us to like go out there and hurt that dude and, get him off the mat. He wasn't like that, but every now and then he would teach us some shit to hurt people. Oh, wow. This been on for over 2 hours now. A lot of babbling, but hey, a lot of reminiscing too. So again, everybody, thanks for allowing me to share that with you guys. But I'm probably going to get this new channel on the road and moving next week. Like I said, because I want to keep the two, viewers separate. I probably won't be giving out any information about this new channel. If you happen to find it and you support me, I appreciate it. But I'm not going to go out of my way to bring the information of that channel here. See here. It is 20 after 5. So I think I'm going to get ready to take off here shortly so I can get a drink, get my pre-workout drink together. Gotta have that pre-workout before you go to the gym and go in there and blow these arms out, because I plan on blowing out my biceps and my triceps today. And then I'm going to come home and finish it off with a Creed stream. So, and whether I talk shit in there or not, it all depends on whether somebody starts it with me first. So, Jamal Adams, a hunt to find your mystery new channel. Challenge accepted. I'm sure some of you guys find it, because they used to use the words of King Thrash. I know some of you guys are some informational type people, and do the legwork to dig up information and that kind of stuff. Garuda, you said my double fang is when you hit someone off balance. The double fang is when you sprint, jump, and land with 2 feet planted in the ground and use the force of inertia to push both fish forward. You're talking about an Ultraman move. I used to watch all those shows when I was a kid, Ultraman, Space Giants, Johnny Sokko and his flying robots, Spectre Man. My father took me to the movies to see Inframan. All those movies, all them like Japanese shows and movies. And at least every one of them dudes, at least one of them had a move that resembled that double fang that you're talking about. Basically, when you're launching yourself and putting both fists out. I mean, a move like that, if somebody's got good lateral movement, they might be able to just step to the side. Depends on who you're fighting. Speaking of which, I was talking about earlier how I took karate for 4 years. I took Okinawan Shorin-ryu. My very first tournament that I competed in was at our school. We hosted a tournament, and the 2 things that I competed in was kata, where you had to perform your katas in front of judges, and they would judge you on your stance, how loud you ki, how much they can hear the gi snap when you throw a punch, all those kind of things. They judged you on all that stuff. That one, I took second place in that one. The guy that beat me, a lot of people said they felt that I beat him, but I think the judges said that I looked a little bit robotic the way I was doing my katas. No, I know it's not from a movie, Garuda Legends. I'm just saying it sounds like something from a movie. It sounds like a move from a movie. So I took second place in the kata, and the guy that beat me, again, the judges were saying that I looked a little bit robotic when I was doing my katas. But now when it came to the kickboxing part, that was a crazy day, because my first fight, because we didn't have a lot of people that entered the fighting part of it. So my first fight was against a girl. And so we're in the ring, and I'm sitting here being all cute and funny and shit like that. And so the referee was like, fighting positions. And then, I'm like, put my hands in front of me, being all cute and smiling and shit. And so the referee was like, Hajabe. And then he moved out of the way. And the girl punched me straight in the stomach. Yes. And the referee was like, stop. And he was like, judges score. And he was like, 1 point red, 1 point red, 1 point red. And he was like, 1 point for red, first person to 3 wins. And I was like, holy fuck, we fighting for points? I thought we were fighting by rounds. So I'm thinking to myself that I'm going to go ahead and play around with this girl for about 4 or 5 rounds before I go ahead and beat her ass, But then when I found out we was